Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about our range day that we had with this 145 grain ELDX in the 270 Winchester. Let's get into it. The last time we shot groups with this 270 Winchester, it was with this 130 grain nozzler ballistic tip. That is going to be our standard for accuracy today. We would like to see something at least similar to what this 130 grain nozzler ballistic tip produced, which was a really good group with decent velocity. We would have liked faster, but to get the best groups, sometimes velocity isn't your best friend.
Where you want us to encase our guns.
Do it up at the bank with it pointed down range. You should have got that speech when you were here yesterday. The same one.
Thank you.
2982.
Thank you.
2982. Is that about as fast as we thought it'd go, or slow?
Yeah.
2939.
I used to have a jar.
I was looking.
About MOA.
2942.
For the groups today, we have the target set up at 100 yards with the same setup with the rifle, a rear bag and a front bipod. With this setup, we'll be shooting 5 rounds at the target. If the first 2 rounds are in a decent group, we'll continue. If after the first 2 shots and it's looking like it's going to be 3 inches, we're just going to stop because it's not worth wasting the bullets or the powder to get a group that's 3.5 inches when in reality, we want something smaller. So some of these groups will probably be less than 5 shots just because the group starts to fall apart. But we'll let the gun cool between shots. We'll try to make everything as consistent as possible. Low load, 145. Our first group of the day is this one here. It was going 3,045 feet per second, just over 1.25 inches. Now, these first 3 shots were 1, 2, and 3. So it started to get a good little group here, about 0.8 inches. But then we had shots 4 and 5 up here. And so realistically, it's usable and it's decent for just the initial guess. But realistically, we want something smaller than this. 145 middle load. Then for the second group of the day, we have only 4 shots because, well, group was about 1.25 inches, going 3,049 feet per second. So not a huge change in velocity. Impact is roughly the same as we had right here. So, I mean, we're up and left a little, up and left a little. So, realistically, I think we're in a good node for the powder. It's just finding that load or that little charge weight that is going to close up that group. Because, I mean, realistically, 1.75 inches, yeah, within normal hunting ranges, you could make it work. But that's not what we're doing with this bullet. We're trying to find something that will work a little further out at range for target shooting too. So I don't know what we need to do with this, but we'll look at the next group. Or hot load. And then there was the last group. It only got 2 shots because, well, we're already at 2.5 inches. And chances are the group is not going to get smaller. If anything, it's going to grow. And we are going 3121 feet per second. So velocity, awesome. Group size, yep, here we are. Because when you can almost stick a cartridge between your 2 impacts. That's not what we're looking for. That is not precision, that is not anything. That is, well, that's a group we probably shouldn't come back to.
Just taking a look here at this chart, we have the same 3 bullets we talked about in the previous video. The 140 grain Game King, which is the same data as last time. The 130 grain ballistic tip has had the muzzle velocity adjusted. It's adjusted to where we got the best accuracy, which was at 3,000 feet per second, even though we can get up to 3,140 feet per second. The accuracy at that faster velocity wasn't necessarily the best. And then the 145 ELDX, it's kind of a similar case. Going down to 3,020 feet per second, we got the best accuracy, even though it can get up to 3,120 feet per second. But just looking at the charts here with velocity and the drop out at range, out to about 500 yards, everything's fairly similar. You know, we see that the ELDX and the Game King are roughly the same amount of drop, but that 130 grain ballistic tip does drop about 3 inches more. So as we get further out in range, we can see that those BCs tend to take over a little bit more. And then as we get to 750 yards, we start seeing the big difference. The ELDX has 113 inches of drop versus 117 and 122.5 inches of drop. So realistically, if we're putting these bullets at the same or similar velocities, the ELDX is going to do better just because it has the better BC. But if we look at how fast we could possibly push these to the max, that 130 grain where it is lighter, we can probably get some better velocity out of it. So it would be flatter in that case. But with these velocities and the best accuracy that we've gotten with each of these bullets, it's looking like that ELDX might be a little bit flatter. But let's not forget though, that 130 grain ballistic tip had some groups that were way, way better than that ELDX.
So realistically, we'll come back to it. We'll see if we can't help out this 145 be just a little bit better. I think we're with the right powder. H4350, the impacts were in the same spots on the paper. We had potential for good groups. Just getting into that shot 4 and 5, it kind of fell apart. So we'll see if we can't help out with this 145 ELDX. We'll have to go back out to the range again and get a little bit more data, just because one day out at the range isn't necessarily going to tell the whole story. Thanks for watching.